Today we shall discuss xenophobia from another dimension, even as Nigerians have been evacuated from South Africa. Our guest today is Mr. Unonu Chidozie from Unonu.
Okay, my name is Unonu Chidozie Godpower. I'm a student of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Oka. I'm in Economics Department, 400 level. Okay, I think the xenophobic attack has to do more of two countries that are competing on a high standard. If you can remember, in the during the president of Nigeria's term, that is President Goodluck Jonathan, you can remember that Nigerian GDP was ahead of that of South Africans. And when he stepped down, South Africa took over from the GDP. And you see that these countries, there are two contending countries that are contending for economic power. So it has more to do with people who are contending between themselves and trying to take authority or try to know who and who that is ahead of them. I remember when Nigeria played against the South Africans in the just concluded Africa Cup of Nations. I remember some South Africans saying that it would have been better for Egypt to have won them instead of Nigeria to have won them, because they see Nigeria as a contending countries wherein they are contending in most economic activities. So I think it has more to do with grievance, with seeing this person as your opponent, since they are contending against each other in so many economic activities.
Okay, so are you in any way trying to justify the xenophobic attacks against Nigerians?
No, I'm not really trying to justify, but I'm trying to see reasons behind what those South Africans are doing. And as much as what they are doing it out of because they are not that well knowledge enough, and they could not actually control their temper. So they are just exhibiting something that ought not to be so. But I think there should be other ways to have done that, which has to do with you improving yourself in those areas where you are contending with these countries, so as to achieve more economically than to go violent and start molesting and violating the laws and rights of the citizens.
Okay, do you think that the Nigerian government is doing enough to protect our citizens in South Africa against these xenophobic attacks?
To me, I don't think Nigerian government are doing enough as it were, because if you look into it currently, you see that this has to do with both countries taking measures into their hand. Take for instance, I know that Nigerians cannot molest American citizens that same way, because they know the implication that the country they know the implication of their action by the Americans. So because of the standard by which Americans place themselves, and because of the way they value their citizens, they know that every other country ought to abide by that, because they know the implication of this one. But in Nigeria, we can see so many complacencies and so many lukewarm activities by the government, wherein some of these things are taking place and the Nigerian government seems to be doing nothing about it.
So you think the government doesn't value her citizens in Nigeria?
They value their citizens, but not compared to those civilized countries, because if you watch the way things are going in Nigeria, you can actually see that there is a level that Nigerian government is operating, where they have not actually taken their citizens above both the economic and other factors and conditions that play.
Okay, that's a very wonderful answer. So what do you think that Nigerian citizens, in the face of delay by her government, should do in this matter?
Okay, I think the Nigerian citizens on their own, they should as well try to carry out some activities that will also send a signal to the South African government that they're not happy with what's happening. Take for instance, we know that South African government, they invested heavily in Nigerians, telecommunication companies, they also invested in shopping malls, and also invested in so many other areas. So I think if Nigeria can actually use that as a means of not patronizing them, so as to send warning to this country and tell them, see, we are not happy with what is happening. And in like manner, I also believe that Nigerian literate and those that are well learned, they should also write to the international community in order to respond to this. So I don't think it is a time for Nigeria to keep quiet on this, because it has gone too much that it is now pitching us, and we cannot actually keep quiet on that. So we can do many things. We can decide not to patronize them. We can write to the international communities. We can even take a peaceful protest so as to express our grievances and how we felt about the incidents.
Okay, thank you so much. I can see that you are really worried about this issue, and we hope that the government does something important very soon, right?
Yes. Sincerely speaking, a trampling on the right of any human being is nothing to keep quiet about. So it calls for a good measure so as to tackle this and to reduce it, because we don't know what they are also planning ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for coming to the World Channel.
Okay, you are welcome. It's my pleasure.